Hi again, this is Derek Sills. Welcome to my channel, the YouTube channel on carpenters measuring and on the knowledge of carpentry. Today we're going over how to identify windows and how to identify the door on the door and window schedule on the blueprints. Now I'm prepping you right now because when we're getting ready to go into our full-scale framing model, I want you to be familiar with what it looks like to read a set of plans and know how the windows and the doors are numbered and lettered on the door and window schedule. This is like a chart that's on the plans. It's going to always have on the plans for your windows, as you can see that I have up above here. I have a window A, I have a window B, and I have a window C. These windows here have this shape to it drawn out. I have a stationary window here. So I'm giving you three different types of windows that you can possibly see on the plans that maybe you might be building a house, renovating a house, and it may require some blueprints. You're going to have a sliding window that's shaped like this, where there's going to be two slashes, one that's almost crossing the other. The sliding window slides to the side, okay? You also have a double hung window, which means this window opens up and down. Possibly the bottom opens up and possibly the top comes down, which is like a double. So this is what it looks like on the plans when you're looking at a double hung window when it's drawn out. This is a single hung window on B when it's drawn out. This is a stationary window on C when it's drawn out. Now I have a few notations here that's on my board. And I want you to understand one thing: when you're reading blueprints, there are tons of notes on the blueprint. You need to really read everything that's there. Even if you're a carpenter and been in the trade for a long time, I know there's a lot of carpenters out there that is not really skilled at reading plans. And what happens is they take other principles and other things from other jobs that they've learned and bring it to the next job. And then they take it to the next job without or failing to read the blueprint, because they think it's just typical to do something. Not every city and not every state has the same type of building codes, or they have the same type of building principles. So you have to remember where you are, and you have to go by the guidelines that the architect has drawn out or the draftsman has drawn out for you. And if they've been approved through the city, that means you have to build it according to the approval of the plans. You can't add anything to it, but it's not going to hurt if you do some little special tricks or have some unique ways of dealing with framing. But going over the windows, you're going to have a line on your blueprints. As you can see, I have a wall that's going all the way up here. The red marks on the wall, the X's, they represent the stud layout. Stud layout is every 16 inches on center. This would be considered your exterior wall. I also have another special type of studding. This is a corner stud, okay? This is another channel. We did a channel in our last video for intersecting walls. This video, we have another different type of channel. This is a 3-stud channel. This 3-stud channel provides backing for the drywall with this last stud here, which gives it 1.5 inches. So when the drywall is nailed to the corner, it has some sufficient support. Now, a lot of times there may be required a 4x4 or a 4x6 on this corner, depending on if you have any seismic engineering straps that's going from floor to floor, you know, and you have your center. Now, a lot of times when you are hooking your outside wall to get to the center of this window, there's going to be a measurement here. Next video, okay? Right now, all I'm showing you is this is a center mark. A lot of plans will have a CL, an L going through the C. That means center line. The dimensions that's going to be taken from the outside of the wall here is going to be given to the center. And remember this, a very key important thing that you need to be mindful of looking at plans. A lot of blueprints go from once you do this part and take your measurement, hooking the outside wall to the center, then you divide that measurement for your window. So window A here could be written out two ways. First, you have a 3030. That's usually specified on the plans, right on the floor plan. It will actually say 30 by 30. That's 3 foot by 3 foot, 36 inches by 36 inches. If you want to know the measuring part, go to the earlier videos that I've taught measuring with your measuring tape. 30 by 30. I have to remember, I'm writing backwards here. That's going to be on your plans, okay? Or it's going to be marked this way. 3 by 0. Foot, inches. We went over that in our earlier video about the slash mark and what they represent as a symbol. You need to know those symbols. There are a lot of different things on the blueprints you need to know. But today, we're getting you familiar with how the window is drawn, where you know it's a window. And then you'll know the difference between a window and a door. We went over doors in the last video, okay? And we have the hinge side here. And remember, we went over how, you know, when you're standing in front of a door and you identify your hinge side, that's going to be the swing. If the hinges is going to be on the right side, it's going to be a right-hand swing. And if it's on the opposite side of the wall, it's going to be a right-hand reverse swing. So you got to remember that. Check out the last video. Whether the hinge is on the right side, the left side, it still applies the same way. Left hand from the inside facing the door. If the hinge is on the left side, it's going to be a left-hand swing. If the hinge is on the right side, it's going to be a right-hand swing. If the hinge is on the opposite side of the wall, it's going to be a left-hand reverse or a right-hand reverse. Just going over that with you. The hexagon symbol. Everybody know a hexagon, okay? So when you look at the hexagon, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sides to it. And they're all angled except for the 2 on the side that go straight down, up and down. Okay? So the connection of identifying a window is through its symbol on the plans. Because it's not, the window schedule is not on the floor plan. It's just the symbol is on the floor plan. That's the symbol you look for so you can identify, oh, that's a window. Okay? So identifying a door. It's a number. Circled straight around. A number with a circle in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you see that on the plans in front of the window or the front of the door, and it's numbered, it's a doorway. Even if you see a double swing, there are plans for front doors where you will see the wall, forgive my drawing, might not be straight. You have the wall coming out, and you'll have a swing coming in. Slanted, swing. Okay? So, but those 2 swings will meet. They will meet in the middle. Just like that. They will meet in the middle. So that's where you can identify that is a double door. It's still going to have a number. And on the window schedule, you're still going to see the size of the window. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is not the complete schedule. I want you to identify when you look at that number or you look at the letter, that letter, and you go to the window schedule or the door schedule, it's going to give you the size of the window. If it's saying 3 foot by 3 foot, that's 36 inches wide, 36 inches from the header down to the bottom of the seal, or to the top of the window seal. You can have a double seal or you can have a single seal. I prefer to frame with double seals. In California, there are some 4x used as seals. And it's 4x blocking that's connecting in between wall cavities, because straps now are very important for seismic engineering, especially when you have shear panel. You'll see the metal straps. We're going to get into that as well. So the hexagon symbol is with the letter for a window. We have the circle is the symbol with the number for the doors. Remember that, very important, because I'm going to show you how the layout is written on a concrete slab from the layout guide. our miniaturized framing project that we do have that's going to be shown to you, stay tuned, it's going to have layout marks. All the plating for every wall on this project is going to have stud markings. Also, we're going to have the windows, the headers, the cripples for the tops, the bottom cripples, the window seals if it's a window. Doors don't have bottom cripples or bottom seals. They just have top cripples. They have headers. Everything is going to have a header. And I want you to understand the call out size. If it's a 36-inch wide window, your header is going to be probably 4 inches past 36 inches. 36, 37, 38, 39, 40-inch header. Why? Because you have trimmers on each side. That's 3 inches. Then you're going to have a 1/2 inch space on each side. That's okay. So you give or take, you need drywall in between there. We're going to get more into that. I'm just teaching you today, right now in this video, how to identify what a window looks like and what a door. The 3-stud corner, very important. That's a channel. That's another stud. These can be pre-built on the job with the wall height. Now, as you can see, I have marked here a 4x4. On the structural page, you will actually see that on there. You're not going to see this on the floor plan. The floor plan is just going to show you all the walls, the kitchen, the bathroom. That's going to be on the floor plan, okay? Your measurements for your windows and doors is going to be on the outside. You'll see that on the next video, and I'm going to show you the measurements. But you're going to remember this. This second window here, B, you're going to be pulling from the center of this window, A, to get the center of this window, B, and so on. And from the center of B, you're going to be pulling to get the center of C. Because they're not going to always be giving you a measurement going from one end to the other end and keep going over another measurement. For the architect and the designer or the engineer or the draftsman, he's going to give you center to center, because one line going across hooking your wall is going to be sufficient enough to give you what is the measurement from the end of this wall to the center of this window. Okay, then the layout guy can determine, okay, from one side where his king stud is going to be, and from the other side, he's centering that window. So you got to be able to learn how to divide the number, okay? So when you have that total number to the center, and it's a 36 inches, what's half of 36? Half of 36 inches is 18 inches. But you also have to include your trimmers on both sides. You could have double trimmers, okay, or jacks, okay? You can have double or triple king studs, which they are also called cords. These members here, framing members, can also, I said that's 4x4, but it could also be a double here, which makes this one now a cord. A cord. So these double king studs have to be stitched nailed together. When I mean stitch nail, the stud, let me do this. The stud facing, okay? Stitch nail. See, a lot of jobs where stitch nail is not done correctly. That means it's attaching to another member. And to show you what that member looks like, face on, I'm going to show you two 2x4s together. Okay? My drawing is kind of a little bit not as good, okay? So I'm freehanding. I'm freehanded. Nails are going to be driven into one to the other. Nail's going to penetrate one through the other. The nail head is not going to stick out like that. So don't think that the nail head is supposed to stick out. Drive the nail in. This is rough framing. You have to drive it. It can penetrate through the wood. Now, plywood, that's a different story. We don't want you to over penetrate plywood, because the plywood is put together and it's glued together, and it's called membrane layers. The membrane, if you break through the first two membranes, which is the nail is sunk in too deep, you will not pass inspection. the head of that nail should just be sunken in enough to where it's in the wood and not over too far into the wood. You're only dealing with a 7/16 of an inch when it comes to plywood on the outside. Have there ever been 5/8? You're getting into custom building. That's a very thick plywood. Normally not. Your plywoods for your structural shear panel is usually 3/8 to ½ inch, which is 7/16 of an inch really, when you're putting it on the perimeter, on the outside for your structural shear. Remember, 4x4, it's going to call it out on the plans, okay? Remember that. Don't forget it. The 3-stud corner, that's another type of channel, all right? Because it provides drywall, stitch nail, okay? So the window schedule, you have a 3/0 by 3/0, but you can also identify like this, 3 with an O at the top or at the corner of the 3 by 3, 3/0 by 3/0. This is tradesmen in the field industry that's letting you know still the typical size of this window. It's not written out like this, but in industry, you can see it like this. When a guy is writing it down, 2/6, where the 6 is above the 2. That's 2 foot 6 inches by 2 foot 6 inches, okay? 4/0, 4/0. Still, this is window A, window B, window C. Each one of these windows has a different measurement. Now, if that window, if there's more than one window, usually the bedroom, if it's bedroom, one bedroom is C, then all the bedrooms in that house is going to pretty much be a C, okay? If you have a bathroom window, which is an obscured window which you can't see out, or, you know, now bathroom windows, they want you to vent them out. They want ventilation. But back in the day, they used to have bathroom windows that was fixed, which means it was stationary. You couldn't open the window, you know. So because you had a fan, you know, an exhaust fan to, you know, suck out unwanted gases, you know, from using the restroom. Okay, and that's usually near the toilet area or the water closet. So we're looking at the symbols. We have our windows on what they look like drawn out. You got a double hung window. You have a sliding glass window. Now remember, on these windows, with your sliding glass window, they can come with a vinyl frame. They can be, back in the day, they were metal. You could probably still get the metal. They're a lot cheaper. Nobody really uses that anymore, but you can still purchase them in certain places. The metal frame, they were very heavy. You know, some places have discontinued windows where you could just go to Home Depot or a Lowe's and pick up a standard size window, and it may not be the call out standard size. Remember, you need to order your windows, you know, at least in the beginning of when your foundation is being started, setting your forms. It could take up to 2 months. When COVID was here, it took up to 4 months for companies to manufacture windows for a big subdivision. And it will come in an 18-wheeler, and you might have 200 windows, 400 windows, depending on how many buildings that you do have. So even with the house, you want to make sure windows can have a wood structure as well. The frame could be wood. You have Andersen windows. There are different products of windows out there. You want to make sure. Now remember, with your window call out size, that if it's 36 or 3 feet by 3 feet, you have to remember that window's not going to come in that size, okay? This is the call out size for the opening, but the window may be 35.5 inches, okay? It may be a ½ inch, because you need room. You do not want to cut your header short. Don't do that. Don't go with a header that is that size, because it's not going to fit. Because you have 1.5 inches on each side that's up underneath the header. That's 3 inches. That's 3 inches. 3 inches minimum on a window header. But you do want to allow for the drywall to go in between, because there's a flange on each side of the window frame, and the window frame has holes if it's vinyl or if it's plastic, because now frames are plastic and they are vinyl. So they're different products of windows when you do purchase them. They're not cheap. You got windows that got grids in them that look like they cross grids, where it's like square panel, like almost like a French style type of look, you know, which is your French door on the back door. It has grids. Every grid, there is a section that's formed for the grid to look the way it looks. They could be very expensive. Now you have dual double pane window glass for energy efficiency. I recommend you have that. do not, or try not to, if you can help it, get single panes, because that's when you start seeing your moisture build up in certain times of seasons, where you see the condensation on the window and you feel the window on the inside. Why is it wet on the inside? Well, the double pane window prevents that. If you see condensation on the first pane, guess what? You got protection from the second pane. All right, so pay attention. Pay attention. So we went over the front door also is going to have a number with the circle on it. The back door, if it's a French door and it's a 6-foot door, your header is going to have to be longer than 72 inches. You need to add at least 4 to 5 inches on your header because you're aligned space. Now, if you have windows, you have to treat that like a door jamb frame, which means on your doors, your headers are going to be 5 inches bigger than your call out size. So if I have a door frame and my door header is going to be, if it's a 36-inch door, which is 3 foot, a 3-foot door wide, your framing header needs to be 5 inches bigger. 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, a 41-inch header, because it gives you plenty of room for you to place your pre-hung door or your door frame. It gives you plenty of room, because you got to allow for the 1.5 or the 3/4 of an inch for both sides of your jamb. A 3/4 plus 3/4 is 1.5 inches. You got a trimmer or jack, 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches on the other side. That's 3 inches. Plus another 1.5 inches. That's 4.5 inches. 5 inches. Gives you plenty of room for the door hanger. If he has to shim, pull a trimmer out, he can do a California tie with a nail bent over with another nail, tied that from the king stud to the trimmer, which if that trimmer has to move that way, he can nail these two members together, even with the gap there. This is the rough framing stage. But the shims go in between the trimmer and the jamb. So you could, hey, always plumb on any doorway your hinge side. That side needs to be perfect. The other trimmer on the other side, you can play with it. We call that a floating trimmer. You can float that. It can look cockeyed as long as your opening is square and your opening is level and plumb. Headers need to be plumb. But I also want you to put your header not at 80 inches for your door, okay? Your header needs to be at least 6 foot instead of 6'8". That's the call out size for the jamb. You need 6'10", at least minimum 1.5 to 2 inches room. Your jamb is 3/4 of an inch, okay? And you're going to always be able, you can always pad, put plywood at the top between your header and your jamb, and you can nail that together with your finish nail. Or you can put shims from one from each side until that jamb is level. And then you can nail your jamb and your shims together. Or you can nail your plywood spacer up underneath your jamb in between your jamb and your header. And you can always do that, okay? So I'm just giving you a real quick, brief introduction to this because this is a part of blueprint reading. The next one you're going to see a scale drawing for rooms. You're going to see the exterior walls. You're going to see the interior walls that I'm going to be drawing. They're going to have measurements now. I'm going to teach you how to read these measurements. You see no measurements here, not today on this video. But for the next video I put out, there's going to be measurements to that video. And I want you to be able to identify, because this is identifying windows on blueprints. This is blueprint reading. And I need you to get your mind set to that. When you can get the doors and you can identify the windows on your plans, you already up and running. Everything else is studs, special types of studding. Could be 4x4s, 4x6s. You see that on the structural page. I take you through that as well. Just need you to identify. And always remember, your corners must have 3 studs, or they have to be solid. Every corner has to be solid. When you do your king studs and your trimmers, your headers have to be over the size that the call out size is calling for. And I want you to be aware of that, because that's a part of estimating. So you'll know how long of a header you need, whether it's a 4x4 for bathroom headers, because it's nothing structural unless it's inside and it's a bearing wall. If it's a bearing wall and it's running through the middle of the house and there's doors in that wall, most of your headers will be 4x6 to 4x8 because it's structural. And it may be some 4x4s or double cripples in between your header and your plate, where you have a strap coming down from upstairs from another doorway, or you may have a post upstairs that's strapping that and strapping next to the door that's downstairs. We call those floor-to-floor straps. You can see that in the Simpson book, and I will show you that as well. I want you to stay tuned, stay with me. We're going through these lesson plans so that way, really quick, you can get and identify the types of windows that are out there. And you do your estimating from the window schedule. Remember, the window schedule is going to tell you the size of the window, the type of window that you have, the material of the window. And you can write that down. Aluminum frame, vinyl frame, wood frame. You have to remember these things on the plans. And all you have to do is create a list that's already given to you from the door schedule, from the window schedule. If anything changes, a change order has to be given to you from the architect or the designer dealing with the homeowner. If you're the homeowner, I'm telling you, you got to stay on top of the paperwork. When you order these things, you want to make sure any changes that have to be made, you need to have these changes done before you place that. Once you place an order, it's just within hours or days that order gets put into the system, and wherever the manufacturer is that's building your jambs for your doors and putting your stuff together, if it's too late, they will probably possibly tell you, they already been built. It's been shipped out. Now they will charge you a fee for restocking. If it's, doors that they have in stock, oh, no problem, Mr. Such and Such, or Miss Such, no problem. We can swap that out for you. We have some still. So the driver will bring that back. We'll put that back on a recall list so you can bring that back, and we'll order and send you out another one. Now, mind you, this does happen in construction, and it is common. So don't worry yourself a little bit about it. But when you start building $1 million homes and you start building big subdivisions, mistakes are critical. The errors are very critical because it's time, money. And you have to remember that as a contractor, as a homeowner, I want to bring you up to speed. And you need to be aware on how to look for these things and these individual items that needs to be put down on paper. My name is Derek Sills. Here again, we have this video. I'm coming to you. Just want to let you know that everything that we do for you here is for you to obtain knowledge, for you to get the know-how in construction, the how-to, and what you need to prepare for. If you're going to do a project, hey, we wouldn't mind helping you out. Give a shout out to us. Got my number, 662-782-8950. Leave a message. We'll get back to you. We'll pretty soon have a website up and coming. I'm getting these videos out here so you can be able to be prepared. There's quite a few videos that I have coming out, and I want you to know this is a course and a plan that you need to follow, because my model is going to be very exciting, and it's going to show you the framing process. And if you want a model mailed to you and you want to do this at home, here again, we can mail all the lumber for you, package it all up, ship it to you. We'll show you and tell you the fee it's going to cost for shipping and handling. And we can also tell you what it's going to cost for a model and a set of plans to go with that model, so you can go home and you can set this up with your children on your own time. You can set this up with your grandfather. You may be an older carpenter or a retired carpenter yourself. May want to still get in the field. There are things that you might want to do. Things shut down in the wintertime. This could be a fun project. Put in your living room, in the garage. Just want you to be aware of what you'll be able to do after you get through dealing with me and learning the process of how to build in construction. I hope to see you again. Follow me on my next video so that way we get more in depth with the blueprint reading, the measuring. I got the videos for that. Not rambling. Just stay tuned. Stay with me and pay attention.